Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel where I share with you my experience on how I grow orchids in Jamaica. In case you are new, please subscribe so you see just how I grow orchids in Jamaica. Today, I will be doing an update of one of my newer orchid beds. 3 months ago, I did a video showing you what's happening in this particular bed. And I did ask you guys to help me to name this bed. Well, today I will be revealing to you just what name I decided to choose. And I also want to thank those persons who participated and gave me suggested names. I really appreciate that. So if you want to see just what's happening in this section of my garden today, why don't you just stay tuned? So guys, a number of persons actually gave me some suggested names for this particular orchid bed. And I'm going to start with the first one that I got from Carol Henry. And her suggested name was Eternal Beauty. Then I got another one from Orchid Dream. And she thought I should call this bed Grace. Red Rose thought I should call this bed Happy. And of course, this bed makes me happy. And of course, you never know. Lorna Petty, she asked me to call it Blooming Beauty. And isn't that what it is, guys? Isn't it a blooming beauty? Such a beautiful garden and such a beautiful name. PC also suggested that I call it Blooms Galore. What do you think? Yes, we have a lot of blooms here, and of course that's an appropriate name, Blooms Galore. Dot the Caster thought I could call it Awesome Blooms. That's also a nice one. And for sure, Maria Galarza thought I should call it Happy Girl Rainbow. Yes, Happy Girl Rainbow. And for sure, we have a rainbow of colors right here. And that too is quite an appropriate name. Another suggestion from Sandy Orchids is the Rainbow Garden. So you realize two persons actually suggested that I include rainbow in the name of this section of my orchid bed. Sandbox Jamaica suggested that I call it Promised. Yes, it really is a promising section of my garden, and that's also another good suggestion. And the final one from Madge Sharp, she suggested that I call it Glorious. Yes, Glorious, guys. And this bed is indeed a glorious one. Now, I'm going to give you my suggested names, or the names that I really like. And in the comment below, you can tell me which ones are your preferred names, or which one you would select of the 10 names that I've highlighted. So my 3 favorite names: one, I like Glorious because my other bed across from this one is actually called Faithful because it is really a faithful bloomer. So calling this one Glorious, I like that suggestion because of course this one tends to have a lot of glorious blooms. I also like the name Blooming Beauty. Yes, guys, because this one is always having some beautiful bloom, and it is always so beautiful. So I really like the name Blooming Beauty as well. The name Grace also stand out for me because Of course, when you talk about faithful, you also talk about eternal grace. And so those are the three names that I really, really like and need to really decide which one of them I am going to be calling it. However, I am kind of leaning towards Blooming Beauty. Yes, but I still want to hear from you. So while we think about it, let me just zoom in on some of what we have taking place right here. This one is one of my favorite here. It's blooming for me for the second time. I bought it perhaps about 2, maybe 3 years ago. Let me see if I can zero in on the ID for you. Okay, so I found the ID all the way in the bottom there. It's Rhenopsis Rena Roward, which is crossed with the Renanthera calcium. So that's what it is, and it is indeed a beautiful one, guys. Just look at it. It has on this nice inflorescence where it is just a stunning one and really a showstopper. This is my second bloom on this plant, and I just think it is so gorgeous. And of course, it deserves a place in this blooming beautiful bed. Right, let's move on. And here again I have this one. It has on 2 spikes. Let me find the ID for you. I'm sure this one is crossed with a Merveltilis. This one here, I tell you, once a bloom is off, another one is on, and it is just a constant bloomer. I don't have the ID because actually I got a plant of it from a friend of mine. Valley Queen, yes, and so it is just an awesome one. This one is usually a showstopper. It's actually blooming off now, but it is still doing its thing here. And that one is actually on one of my totem or my cylindrical towers that I have here. Can't find the ID for that yellow one over there, but it looks like one of the Mokara banana, and it is just doing its thing over there. Yes, guys, just look at this. Isn't that a blooming beauty? Of course it is. Just doing its thing. Yes, look at this one here. The ID has been defaced. Nevertheless, let me show you what this one looks like. That is so beautiful, guys. Yes. All right. Just look at it from here. All right. And of course, you know, it's the epidendrum time of the year now, so I have a few of them. This is of course the hot pink. A few of them that are in bloom at this time. I have a yellow over here. Let me get closer to it for you. Okay, there. And behind that, another shade of yellow right in the back there. Oh yes, look at this showstopper right in front of it. Oh my god, yes guys, look at this. Isn't this an awesome one? This is a constant bloomer. It just never stops blooming, and each time it sends out a spike, it is 2 or 3 spikes. Yes guys, it is just awesome and is always in bloom. If you look around the back here, you'll notice my other epidendrum orchid that tend to put on this beautiful show each year, that purple looking one. And of course this year is no different. It is doing what it does best. All right, so the epidendrum again, let me show you some others here that are constantly in bloom. This peachy orangey looking one, it has on 3 spikes and it's just doing its thing there. Of course, this time around my Dendrobium aradon orange, it just has on 1 spike, but guess what, I actually took it out of the original pot that it was in and repot it in this clay pot, so it's gonna take a little while for it to actually acclimatize. And here I have recently set up a new cylinder tower or totem with a number of other orchids here, and they are not yet fully established. This was done perhaps about 2 months ago. However, there are some blooms on it, and there it is. And so the other thing with this bed, once one plant is losing its bloom, another one is there spiking. Look at this one. So you see, that is why this bed will constantly have plants blooming in it, because it is of that nature. Let me just show you this other epidendrum that I have here. This is still the hot pink, but just notice how beautiful it is and the kind of show that it is putting on. And this is an annual thing for it. Yes. Let me just give you a glimpse of 2 others that I have here. This is another one here, which is a lighter pink. The name that I got on it is just Epidendrum Pink. I bought this perhaps about 3 years ago at H&L Agro, and it's doing its thing. And of course, this is a yellow one here. Okay. So, taking it from this angle, guys, this is what this bed actually looks like. 3 months ago, yes, it had an equal amount of blooms, but of course there are some that are different this time. And of course, in my last video I did feature the new addition to this bed with the dendrobiums at the end. So guys, I need to finalize the name for this bed, and I have shared with you my preference, so I am going to ask you to just tell me which one of them you prefer, and let's finalize this. Okay, looking at it from this angle is what's happening here, guys. So we have come to the end of another one of my video, and so if you enjoyed, why don't you give me a thumbs up so you never miss another video. Please subscribe to my channel, and as we say in Jamaica, just follow back on me. This is the Orchid Duck, and I am growing orchids in Manchester, Jamaica. Thank you for watching.